I was here earlier. Virgil Ortiz got a little sparring in. Looks incredible, man. Has a big fight against a Mean Machine in 2 weeks. Do you feel, I've talked to Robert and Virgil about this, I feel this is kind of the perfect opponent, kind of right, top guy, only lost to the man, right, Terrence Crawford. Do you kind of, do you feel like this is the right step for Virgil at this point?
I think so. It's still in the developmental stages sometimes, not so, early in his career. It's the right step at the right time where he can start to really show everybody that he is contender worthy, that he is ready for a title fight. With Mean Machine being his next opponent, his only loss to Terrence, and a good fight, where he had some success in the earlier rounds also. I think it's the perfect matchup. I think Virgil wins. I think Virgil wins and shows everybody that he is moving in the right direction to challenge for a world title very soon.
Do you kind of agree with, I know Virgil's been on Twitter talking about, Terrence kind of laid the map work out as well. Like Virgil needs to fight Mean Machine and then maybe he gets a shot at TC. Do you feel that Terrence should be the next fighter? You think, Virgil is pretty young still. He has time on his side.
Look, he's young, but he's also right at his prime right now too. Whether they fight next or in another fight or two, that's up to their management and promotion. Sometimes, the deals don't happen. We see that all the time, that fights don't happen for the business behind it. The promotion and the management and the networks, and that gets involved, and sometimes that complicates things. But it is the right, he's moving in the right direction, fighting guys like Mean Machine or maybe another former champion soon, or those are the fights that he needs to stay active with in order to finally get that title shot. And I think he could be ready already. I think he's already ready physically and in his mindset and everything. He's ready, but sometimes there's doubts or people just don't believe it because they haven't seen him in there yet with the top guys. But that's why he just needs to keep fighting these type of fights. And I think he could be ready for Terrence, his next fight. Terrence is probably one of the very, very best pound for pound. But he's also been there long enough, and you never know. Sometimes he's getting older, or not to talk bad, but he hasn't faced any of the top guys that people want to see him with. So maybe that's also something that we can try to take advantage of with Virgil. Virgil is a strong, solid, welterweight and young and hungry. He ain't no opponent. He's there to actually win it. He ain't the opponents that go in there as the opponent. Knowing that they're gonna get beat. Right. So that's a good matchup for those reasons.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. Hopefully it happens too, because Virgil's a young bull, man. He's right there. And just real quickly, I was watching you do the footwork stuff, kind of the head movement stuff, and it made me think of like politics messing up a fight. And man, you and Loma was really one of those that that would have been fun.
When we were both at lightweight, I fought Easter, and I had the IBF and WBC, and he had just picked up the WBO or WBA also, something like that. But you get the politics, they get in the way sometimes. Every promoter obviously wants to protect their investment. They want to protect their fighter, their investment. And they got different agendas. They got different plans for their fighters, and that's sometimes, unfortunate, the reason why fights don't happen.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for sure. A big fight that is happening in August in the welterweight division as well, Pacquiao versus Spence. Man, just what do you think about Pacquiao, 42 years old still, like who's the best guy? That's the guy I want.
He's very impressive. He's had a great career. When he fought Thurman a couple years ago, I was doing the broadcasting there for the weigh-in show and some of the stuff, and I asked him, Manny, why would you choose a fight like Keith Thurman, because he's young, hungry, undefeated, strong, very dangerous. When you've done it all in the sport, why do you continue picking these fights? And he just simply says, because I can, and because I can still do more. That just shows you, that he's the greatest for that reason. He's one of the greatest for that reason. He's not afraid. He's willing to keep challenging himself, to the max. fighting Errol Spence is probably considered the toughest fight for him, you know, but he gladly accepts that challenge, accepts that fight, and I think he's going to have a very good fight also. I think he's going to have a very good night. I feel that Spence beats him, but I still think that Manny can still, you know, do something in there, can still surprise people. People think, oh, he's too old, he's too old. Spence is just too big and too good. But I believe Manny can still do something, can still shock people. I feel Manny will have success in a few of the rounds and still win some rounds and be competitive. But I got an edge with Spence, just like, you know, I think that's kind of like the consensus.
Is that just youth, or just because it's kind of Spence's time and Manny is 42 at this point?
A little bit of everything. The youth, height, reach, management, distance management, boxing IQ, all that I think will play into the fight, and I think Spence will win. He'll edge. I think he'll win the decision. Not an easy fight either. I think it's gonna be a close fight. They'll probably have scorecards like 15-12, something like that, 115, 112, some 14-13 maybe even. You know, it could be a close fight. I don't expect it to be a one-sided matchup like a lot of people I hear are claiming to be and saying that Spence is gonna knock out Manny. I really don't think so. I think if there is a knockout, it's Manny who ends up hurting Spence. People don't give Manny enough chance, but Manny's fast and very strong. Yeah. Very strong. He's got power. And that's why if there is a knockout, I'd probably bet on Manny getting a knockout versus Spence getting a knockout. Spence wins by decision on a short, you know, narrow matchup.
How does the southpaw and southpaw thing work out with those two?
That's gonna be pretty interesting because typically a southpaw also has a little bit of trouble finding another southpaw because typically they don't fight southpaws; they fight against right-handed fighters. So that could play a little bit into the fight. But I mean, they're getting ready, you know, for one another. So they're obviously sparring with southpaws, and they've had experience, I'm sure, in sparring before. So I mean, they should be fine. But we'll see on fight night. Sometimes that does play into the matchup. I think Manny. This is probably his second time he fights a southpaw. Yeah, I was looking at the record books, and last time he fought a southpaw, I think he had a draw back 20 years ago or some shit when he was
22 or something.
Yeah. So I mean, you never know. Maybe he has trouble with the southpaw. Maybe he's got a little bit of trouble with southpaw, and that's why maybe he didn't fight any other southpaws before that. But I mean, I think it's a great matchup all around. Either way.
It's going to be fun to get all those answers that night, you know?
It's coming up in a few weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.